You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The crew is in the building. Starting off with my man, Jay Moore. How are you, sir?
Doing well, just getting through these dog days of summer, if you will.
Man, the older you get, the more those dog days are different. We'll just say that.
They're different, but, it's all good.
For sure. My man, Lonegevity. Hey, buddy.
Howdy.
How you doing, man?
Doing okay. Not too bad. A little tired today.
No, I feel you on that one. Nice hat, though. I see you.
Thank you. Repping another test product. I feel like this is the 5th one I've tried out.
Hey. The test products is coming through pretty good, though, my brother. So far, not too many
getting there.
misses, man. They're getting there. So good to see you always, as always, my boy.
You too.
DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
Everything good your way?
Yes, sir.
Hat is crispy, great. My boy. Hat is crisp.
Thank you. This is the time when Kanye was at the top.
Yes.
So
I like this era of Kanye that you represent.
This is a good era of Kanye.
That's facts. I hadn't seen this hat yet. That's a new one for me, bro. So
it's actually a limited edition print.
Oh.
So it's only dropped for like 24 hours and then you can't buy it anymore.
Oh.
So no point in asking where he got it.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I ain't going to disrespect him, because clearly you can't go back there and get it.
Yeah. It's crazy. People ask me, "Oh man, where'd you get this?" I'll be like, "Oh man, if I told you, it wouldn't make any difference.
Wouldn't do you no good."
Yeah, salute to that era, because that was a good era for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I know what we all did this weekend, but we don't need to really go into detail about that. It was a good time. Anything else that you guys see or saw in the midst of our busy weekend, or anything that's jumped out to you all since we last met?
I mean, that was
pretty much was it.
That's pretty much what,
Okay.
Yeah, so CHREECE was, for those who know, it was an overwhelming success.
For sure.
Shout out to people who came and, congratulated us. It was real nice to, people who I didn't think were paying attention, they'd come up and show love.
For sure.
And said, "Hey man, congratulations. I've been watching for a while." So that was very cool. And, we had some people who sign up to become Patreons. And if you're listening, you should do the same.
Please. We also have a free option now.
Yes.
Free to sign up if you just want to support that way. Or you can get the $5 tier, the $10 tier, or the $20 tier.
Become a family member.
Come on in.
Yeah. So, that was just, and like I said, I don't leave the house for much that I consider to be fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all work.
Yep.
Or being a responsible adult.
Yep.
And this was that to a certain extent. But it was just good to link up with people, get in some laughs and share some memories and, see how much talent there is right here in the city, man.
It's a lot, man.
It's just, and you know what's crazy? Shout out to Ill Brown, good brother right there. Came down.
Shot-town.
And showed some love from Chicago. And I know I've told the joke before about how, we have a hip hop festival and these larger cities don't.
Yeah.
And literally Ill Brown was like, "Hey man, we can't do nothing like this in Chicago.
They can't.
We just can't. Like the city is not on the same accord on, just because of different factions, if you will.
Yeah.
That wouldn't let this go down and it not be some issues.
It'd be over by 2.
Yeah.
Facts.
So, the fact that the city comes together, there's never any incidents, people show their artistic merit, got to see, we talked about on the show before. In fact, we reviewed one of his videos. Shout out to 42 Corey.
Yeah.
4200 Corey.
Yeah.
Saw him and even from when I saw him in February.
Yeah.
To seeing him now, you want to talk about somebody that has, the larger the stage, the larger the performance.
Yeah.
I got a chance to check out the set after we were done doing what we had to do.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be over there and I was like, well, let me go ahead and sit in and see what this young man is doing. And I was like, okay, he got something here. So, I mean, when I say that for a lot of people, the MC battle was something to behold. If you got to see a little piece of that.
That was silly.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you just saw it.
Heard about it.
Through social media.
Talked to a couple of participants, but
because at one point you couldn't get into the White Rabbit unless you knew a way to get in there.
Yeah.
I knew a way to get in there, so I was good.
I was
that way.
I was lucky. I actually went in. I was lucky enough that they let me in through the front door. They was just like, "Oh, you by yourself?" Because they was like, "We're at capacity."
Yeah.
They was like, "Well," I'm like, "All right, well, I'm by myself." They was like, You know what? Come on in.
Come on in, brother.
Like, bet. Oh, shit, we was maneuvering like we was running shit, honestly.
That's true.
Because I was just walking past the lines and just figuring out a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that comes with age and experience on how to do that.
Yeah.
I thought it was very fun I had a couple of people that were first time treacers, or if you will, and I got some feedback after the fact, and one of my homies was a huge Currency fan. He was like, MC, I came down, he trains, basketball players and stuff. He said, bro, I'm getting Airbnb. I got to come see Spitter. So he brought his cousin. And he said, man, this thing, I didn't know this thing was this cool. I said, what's cool about it? Just crowdsourcing, seeing what he thinks. He said, man, the fact that you can move around and go to multiple venues and it's not that hectic. Being able to move freely and just be able to pop in here, pop in there. He said the Currency, the annex stage was great. It had seating to the side. They wanted to post up. You got a chance to see Fox, Franchise Boys, and all that leading up to Currency. And he said he was very impressed with how smooth everything went, for the festival. He's like, I didn't know it was like that because usually everything is hectic. He said, man, I definitely got to pull up next year, because no matter who the headliner is, because I just had a good time. Just happened to be one of his favorite artists that was here this year. But Ill Brown said the same thing. He was like, man, we got to come back. Mm-hmm. So it's good to hear that, because people seem to really enjoy their first, CHREECE experience.
Right.
So that's dope.
Shouts to Soul Cinematic for winning the beat battle.
Yes.
Shouts for the Plaza stage for running almost without a hitch. Outside of the power thing, let me bring up a random question related to this before we jump into some stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you gave me a call yesterday or the day before, Mike,
mm-hmm.
And we talked a little bit about CHREECE, and the festival is unique in the sense, I think you guys mentioned it. Il Brown talked to me about it as well as same thing you said, Jay, more around the fact that this could happen in Chicago.
Right.
And the fact that this fest most likely sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in the intentional shouts to Sean and Jay Brookins and Jane. I know they kind of scaled back a little bit on the venues and kind of made it a little bit more of a kind of an intimate type of experience. It wasn't as spread out, as it was in the past. And I know that was
nobody had to walk all the way down to the Hoosier Dome.
It was kind of intentional, what do you think about the idea of it needing to grow? Because
yeah, I remember we talked about
it's because like this idea, like everything needs to get bigger. It needs to get bigger and bigger, and it can get bigger and it can get bigger. But if a festival is selling out with 97% local artists, mm-hmm. that's pretty phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, like the only headliners are Currency, Dem Franchise Boys. You could say Mother Nature, but they're from out of town, and Buck Rogers, who's from here, and Il Brown. Like, it's pretty amazing that this fest typically sells out every year, and has an amazing attendance with very few national headliners. Like, I think that speaks a lot to kind of the fest in itself. And I wonder if it expanded too much larger, if it could keep the same type of energy that the fest has. I don't know what you guys think about that.
You and I talked about this when I called you, and I had to think about it in hindsight, because when you and I were discussing it, I was more pro, okay, so what's the next step to try to help us to get it to be something different?
Right.
And then I started to think about, after we talked, I started to think about all the feedback that I just shared. And everything that people loved is the opposite of what I was talking about, right? Yeah. Because if it gets too big, then it turns into what everything else is.
Right. So
that part of it kind of brought me back and reeled me in a little bit, because I think that's the part that it is
intimate.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's more intimate. I think that's what it is.
I think this year was the true definition of a festival too. And I think this is kind of where this is the sweet spot, mm-hmm. with them having the streets blocked off. They had vendors, had a place where you could actually go buy food, buy tickets to get food and stuff like that. I think this, to me personally, was the most festival feeling CHREECE.
I would agree.
I kind of think that it probably should stay around this level. Even if there's bigger acts, national acts. I mean, the hi-fi annex can hold that. I mean, you might not be able to get obviously like a Jay-Z or something like that, but I mean, for the type of hip hop festival that it is, I think the type of artists that will perform at this festival would fit right in regardless.
Do you think that there are any places that the fest can grow?
No, I'll be honest. No.
So you think as it stands right now, based off what we did, or I'm going to say we, but just everybody that was involved, do you think it's maxed out? Yesterday was a max out. There's nowhere else that it can grow?
I'm thinking like, if you try to do, say, downtown, it's like, what are the venues really downtown?
Right.
Of course, yes, there's
too
there's
far away
Cambridge.
anyways. That's too far away.
Yeah.
And then I think about, as much business I do in Broad Ripple. I remember there was a Broad Ripple Music Fest, but like Broad Ripple is just not set up for that. Not anymore.
Well, I mean, in specifically CHREECE in Fountain Square. I don't mean like taking it.
Okay. I misunderstood. I think in its own way, like, even though it contracted a little bit, I think it expanded because you had streets shut down to where you had the vendors. They were different. It wasn't, say you just wanted to walk up and down and you didn't even have a ticket or a wristband. There was still something out there for you.
True.
It was still kind of you could still find a way to like, okay, I got my kids or, I got my dog,
my daughter was out there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just make a day of it. And, we'll run into people and maybe we'll get something to eat and hang out. I think that it is more conducive to that now. I know like the Hoosier Dome, I believe that was like all ages at one point.
Yeah.
That was a thing. And I know that they had DJs down at what used to be, Hot Boys or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean,
Here's a Pizza King years past. Fountain Square Theater, I think 1 year, stuff like that.
The year that Quali performed, I believe they had Fountain
Sound
Square.
Was kind of
they were.
weird
He was in the theater.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, but basically now the national acts wound up being in the annex. I mean, I remember
It just makes sense.
seeing Sadat X and Black Moon. I remember running to them.
At the
White
White
Rabbit.
Rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of I don't really think that it has a ton of room for expansion as far as like I feel like the spacing of everything this year is about as ideal as it probably could have been. I wonder if there's like another potential like street stage, like closing a street, like if they close Prospect down and it was like the only issue is that the Plaza sound is just abundantly everywhere, but the only other thing that I could think of outside of that would maybe be like an additional day, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's about it. But
and I don't even know if that's.
I don't think it's necessary because I would like to say that people feel a certain type of way to even get on CHREECE.
True.
So I feel like they should keep the amount of artists that they put on there around the same. That way it keeps it from getting watered down or, you know what I'm saying, to the point where anybody just ends up on CHREECE.
I don't think that would ever be the case, but I think what could potentially, obviously depending on funding as well too, because when you
Huge part.
that's a big additional piece of it, right?
Try to shut down Fountain Square for the weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday.
But if it was like maybe it could open up more potential out of town people to come in a little bit if there was like multiple national headliners on multiple days, and then you could still have a lot of locals, but maybe the national talent could offset that a little bit depending on what it was. But
I like your idea. Well, it kind of reminded me of Made in Durham.
Yeah,
how they had the street blocked off.
Yeah.
That would be dope, but you also make a good point when you talk about how loud what I call our area is. Because it's undeniable. You're going to hear it no matter where you are.
Yeah, it would have to like face Virginia toward downtown, halfway down, something like that. Yep.
So I think the key to that one would be to have Saturday the exact same way, and then Sunday evening have like a huge artist, and they're the only one that performs.
Yeah,
or just have a couple
or just
people
like
open
one
up
stage
for them.
or something like that, or
and then
or a
everybody
bigger
pull
stage.
Up. That would be dope. That would be dope.
But this is on a complete side note. But when I first, because like I said, I decided to just take an Uber or whatever I took down there. And so when I got to like basically the furthest point I could get to before, they had to drop me off. it's like I saw like, this space where they were like, like I said, they were barbecuing, people were selling T-shirts. But then I hear like some music in Spanish. And I was like, do we have a reggaeton stage? What's going on? And like there was like a festival for like this church down there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know about that. And apparently, like Jones, Oreo was like, they said they've been doing this, and this for like so many years. We're like, that can't be right because we've been doing this and
we've been here a lot.
And then like I said, okay, well, everybody just, it's a day of culture, here in Fountain Square.
Culture.
But then he said, yeah, man, it's going to be wild because they're going to be whipping Jesus later. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, they're going to reenact like the crucifixion and they're going to have Jesus on the carrying the cross down the street. I was like, I hope nobody confuses what's going on here.
With trees.
It was like, whoa, they had our Lord and Savior out there down bad at the Trees Festival.
We're never coming back here.
So I just thought that was a wild juxtaposition of things going on in Fountain Square at the time.
They were down there by the food vendors.
Yeah, I heard it.
And
it was weird because I was hearing like a little religious, but then I was hearing. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Long shared this one, and it's funny coming off what we just did, but this is in relation to music reviews, I guess, quote unquote, the concept of music reviews, quote unquote, being dead at this point or somewhat, I guess, rendered useless in 2024. And it's a blurb, I believe it was from. It says via article from Sun Raw. I think that's what it says for the Post. And I don't know how I feel about this because I enjoy doing these, and maybe it's because we're from a different era. But
let's read it and
let's
talk
read
about
it and kind of discuss where this goes
so it
from.
says, at first glance, there's no good reason to review music in 2024. Before you close this tab and discuss, given that anyone reading this is one of the few remaining people who does care about music criticism, think about it. Why should you care enough to read a long-form tract about a singular album when you can go to your app of choice and make up your own mind about it? Hell, if you want a hot take, Twitter or your plant-based Twitter alternative of choice will provide a near unlimited buffet of snark about Bebe Rexha.
Oh, Baby Rexha. Yeah.
Okay. Jojo Siwa and other pop stars whose names sound like Muppet Babies.
Wow.
Damn. I don't know any of these people for the record.
I know. The reason I know Baby Rexha is because it was a couple of Thanksgiving game. She performed at the Lions game. And I was like, who is this? Who is this nice?
No relation to Baby Shark, though. Right?
No. I was like, who is this nice glass of milk right here? I was like, okay, I need to follow her career.
Go ahead, Long.
So, if enthusiasm's more your speed, hop onto short form video app and be greeted by a barrage of teenagers reacting, quote unquote, and old guys, people.
There we go.
Hey. Whatever the song of the minute happens to be. Hell, even the intellectually among us, weirdos and freaks who still like to read and write words, probably only read the few remaining music reviews published out of habit. When's the last time a write-up of a new album genuinely provoked thought or changed your mind about something?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yes, there is.
Based off a couple paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs here. Now, any validity to what he said?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. It's 100%.
Let me tell you something.
Jump in,
go
my
ahead,
brother.
let's do it.
Help yourself.
Let's go, baby.
There's this thing called bringing down the band. We didn't do music reviews.
Okay.
Intentionally, for this exact reason, in 2010.
Talk to him.
We were like, people can make up their own mind about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to share the stuff that we like.
We've already made up our minds.
Yeah. That's why we're sharing it to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I 100% I don't know if this is, don't get me wrong. There are definitely people that like to dive deep into, listen to certain people's, like the needle drop Anthony Fantano, stuff like that, like people that care about the music, like if you've got a voice like this, it seems like whoever's Sun Raw. There's still people out there that, do it well and everything like that, but the medium has changed as well. And I think a lot of those people, such as Fantano, we're not talking about him writing articles. We're talking about, we're listening to him talk words on YouTube and stuff like that. So I don't think it'll ever go away, but I will say at the same time, it is what Egon say in 1983 in Ghostbusters.
Print is dead.
Print is dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I bet you like to read a lot too. print is dead.
There we are.
Yeah,
The reviews
3 years ago.
The reviews that, to your point, I guess the ones that get my attention, or even there's some videos people will share with me that are on Instagram that will have an album breakdown, or they'll break down the lyrics and the AI flashes up on the screen as the person is talking, or breaking down samples and how this was used. Those types of things catch my attention. But as it relates to just like a print release or something, they're right. You guys were right. But yeah, I don't know if I might read it depending on if there's credibility to the person, with the person, or attached to the person that wrote it. Maybe
You're
they
gonna
might
listen to it regardless, though. At the end of the day,
right? But what I'm saying is the way I'm going to consume a review is different now. Print would be like 8th on the list.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I would only read something like that if there was another reason to like if it was like a real critical breakdown,
deep dive or something like that.
Super deep. And there was like, maybe also an interview with the artist or something,
That part.
But even still, like the medium of print is like, don't get me wrong, I think it's still important, but you can get so much more across and you can reach people so much faster in the world that we're in now with just video and the way data moves. It's like, why wouldn't you do that?
I agree. What you think, Terry?
I'm pretty much on the same line, because honestly, the last print that I really cared about was the Source 5 mic situation.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And in a lot of cases, when the 5 mics, the rating system, I was more so tuned in to disagree with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because,
I'd love to.
Why
disagree.
would you only give this many mics? So I would formulate my own review in my head. Not that I wrote it down, but I don't agree with this review.
Right.
So 9 times out of 10, if I was reading a review, it was to pretty much, create a rebuttal about it.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as, it just doesn't, it's almost a waste of time to sit there and type up a whole bunch of words, either praising or discrediting an album when people are going to listen to it regardless. The way that he worded it, this,
Son-Law or whatever.
yeah, Son-Law, the way that he worded his thing, he made it sound like, you wanted to finish reading it.
Sun Rocks.
But that's not a review, though.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to keep you engaged in reading reviews. If it's, is wordy to the point where it grabs your attention more so than just, this is my opinion of this record, and you either going to like it or you're not.
Look, man, part of it now is because critics almost felt like, and maybe this is, maybe some critics did, they felt like, okay, we're writing these reviews because the consumer needs to know what it is that they're potentially spending their money on. Okay, now that everything is about subscriptions and memberships, and everybody gets the same albums at the same time, and it shows up in your phone at 12:01. You're not protecting the consumer anymore, because the consumer has already made a choice to pay the $11.99 or whatever it is to a particular DSP, and they can listen to whatever they want, and it's not like you're helping them wade through all this content, physical content at the time, because like I said, there was a different commitment you had to have. Yeah, there's a different commitment you had to have, if you wanted to hear a certain album, and in fact, this is how much these reviews were weighted at a certain time. Like after the, Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath album, the next release on Aftermath was supposed to be King T. And, advanced copies got out there. It was reviewed. It got maybe like a 3.5, the equivalent to 3.5 in certain publications. And that scared basically Aftermath and Dr. Dre from putting out. They wanted to put something out that was going to be fantastic and received in such a major way that, it was like, okay, this is Aftermath and this is what we're doing.
He didn't want to do the same thing Hoes with Attitudes did.
Yeah. Okay, you can say that. And so, like, I think maybe there's a way to hear it now, like, because, a lot of times albums have been out for so long. Like, we eventually got the Golden Child with Razzcast. I don't know. I think that King T album is available somewhere now, but like at the time, it was like, no, it's since it wasn't reviewed well, we're shelving it. Like King T was supposed to be the first artist out on Aftermath, but advanced reviews made it to a point where like a 3.5 or a 3 and a source might get your album shelved or pushed back to reworked. Now we're not in a place like that. We're like, okay, the people who are reviewing it, and sometimes they're not reviewing just the art, they're reviewing the artist as a person. And so you're going to talk about all the things that have happened with Young Miami or CHREECE, or with there's a lot of that, especially with female artists, where they're not just reviewing the art, they're reviewing the artist.
Or they have a relationship with said artist. That's why, academics is always going to lean heavy to Drake, or he's even going to side with like what's Tekashi 6ix9ine, because he has relationships with these people. So the reviews aren't necessarily genuine, so to speak, because he has a relationship with them. But to your point, back then, that's what people pretty much heavily weighted on, is if these industry experts, because that's what they were considered back then. Unfortunately, now everybody considers himself an expert when it comes to this music. So it's almost like listening to it with deaf ears, because I don't really need to listen to what you have to say, because I feel like I have a better opinion on it anyway. Like us, I like to say that we're part of those people that can sit down and review something fairly, so to speak, but in the same token, we can be considered the same type of individuals that we don't care what they have to say. I'm gonna listen to it regardless.
I mean, just
the people that used to do these articles, though, was, like, to your point, were special. You can even see it in, like, sports reporting now. The reporter is damn near obsolete now because all the players got podcasts. So the Rob Parkers and all these type of people, you hear them complaining about sports athletes having podcasts. They're not mad at they're not mad necessarily at the idea of the podcast. It's the fact that nobody's listening to them anymore.
Right.
Now the athletes have a voice. We have a voice. So they're not special. Like Jay-Z had an interview a while back on the Breakfast Club way back, and he talked about how he used to send the album out. And somebody would listen to it 2 months before it came out, write the review up, people will read it, and then they could make their choice, like you all said, if they wanted to go cop or not. Doesn't matter anymore. Because everybody's pre-ordering no matter what Elliott Wilson says or whoever these people are. All that's obsolete now. It doesn't matter because everybody's podding, everybody's got an opinion, and everybody has a way to put their idea out there. So nobody's special anymore.
In the same token, too, some of us can relate more to the things that we're talking about versus somebody that went to school for journalism and is just good at writing and not necessarily involved in the culture.
That's true.
Because a lot of the reporters, whether it had been MTV or a print magazine, whatever, weren't necessarily ground level involved in the culture. They were reporters. They were newscasters, so to speak.
Dr. Kurt Loder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we were listening to them just because they were the professional at the position. But, I mean, that's not necessary anymore.
So I guess that would kind of, because I was going to bring up the next question is you guys think that music reviews moving forward, is there a place for them in that aspect? Because, I've thought about this. I thought about many different ways to attack content from somebody who literally has a YouTube channel and puts out the stuff, like what stuff people will actually be excited about, like consuming and taking in, and music reviewing is not one of those things that I really, like as far as like deep dive music reviews, isn't something that I've really ever kind of thought about doing. And with all that being said, there is definitely a group of people that do get into music reactions, that do Tyson, but also like even the stuff that we do, the Doechii stuff, we've seen her fans come in and just react.
Multiple comments.
There's really no reason for them to come into our videos if they've already seen it. It's almost like they're trying to like defend it's like they're a part of the squad to make sure that nobody's talking bad. Like they don't really care about our review to that degree.
They just want to make sure that we are not.
To Terry's point about let me listen to it to see if I need to say anything else, right? So it's an interesting dynamic of just in general, like the content space of creating in general right now. I
think when we do the reviews that we do, I think there is a level of, I guess, respectability on how we comment about what we're watching, but it's not over the top. It's not too...
I don't think we do reviews.
Well, when I say, I don't know if people might look at it like we're reviewing it or more or less just watching it and reacting. Reacting versus reviewing is different, right?
Completely different too.
It's a lot simpler now because literally the review is I like it or I don't like it. Like when something comes out...
It's vibes.
Yeah, it's
There's that word.
There's that word. It's the immediate action of whether I like it or you don't.
Yeah.
And whatever the general consensus says. And whoever is the first to acknowledge or say something about it is generally the one that is heard the most or loudest. Yeah. That's why everybody always wants to be first.
Yeah, it's the algorithm's fault, realistically, because the algorithm always pushes this whole thing of, look, all content creators have to chase the algorithm now. Like, there's no way around it. everything we're forced to chase. Like if you're on TikTok or if you're on YouTube or anything else, you have to chase the algorithm, and it's making just the economy of everything horrible because, you know, like we can sit here and have an amazing show, a great talk, and our 12 people that are in our live will be like, wow, that was cool. I really like that. But we put that video out with maybe a great thumbnail and maybe a great title, but maybe that description in the title isn't great for SEO or what matches up with what's popular right now on YouTube. So for the 100,000 people that we put the video out for, 96 people watch it. You know what I mean? And there's so much more to it. It's just so bad, man. It's so bad. And I think
you almost have
we're
to just
talking
follow a trend in order to be seen.
You kind of have to, and you know, or get people over to your thing, which is what we're trying to do with Patreon. So you see it on the screen. So follow that. But
that part.
But it's like I know this is about music reviews, but I think all this is kind of loosely tied together.
No, it definitely is. Just because, you know, what music reviews were tied to and what they were supposed to drive is completely gone now.
True.
Okay. The difference between, like, you know, we review, or not review, once again, we react to the things. We're like, hey, that looks cool. Let's go ahead. Or have you heard of this? Hey, let's give it a shot. You know, if it was something about really trying to just look at the algorithm, we'd have definitely reviewed Eminem. We'd definitely reviewed
Sexy Red's
and Megan Thee Stallion.
Sexy Red's lip gloss line.
Yeah, you
definitely would have been an algorithm.
I don't want to talk about that. You know, we don't want to talk about that.
I don't.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, like, that's the kind of the game you play where, okay, you know, is the attention worth talking about something that I'm not genuinely interested in?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And that can go to what it is to review something. Like a Rolling Stone review used to mean so much. The Source review, if you got 4 mics, it was like you were on your way. You know, and like if you like I said, you're sending out these albums 2 months in advance. If you got 2.5, 3 mics, like you might have to shelve that album.
Yeah.
And rework it and call it something else. I mean, I've seen 2.5 mic albums do well. I think like Salt and Pepper's, like with What a Man and Shoot, they got like 2.5 mics. This is when the Source was vicious on albums. But I mean, that album went on to sell like 5 million copies.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like you see exactly what the impact is. Like, especially when Vibe got involved, like you didn't want 3 or 4. If there was only 3 or 4 hip hop based or R&B based magazines, and all 3 of them gave you a bad review, you had to get back to the lab, you know. But at the same time, sometimes we talk about personal feelings. Like, I feel like the most hating ass review I've ever read in my entire life is when the Source gave Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style 4 mics. It was almost like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just more of what we got on the Chronic, and that is like, is that bad? This is an incredible album.
Incredible.
You know,
Yeah.
but, you know, and so they had to find a way to justify giving this masterpiece, the day it came out, Doggy Style, 4 microphones. So I don't know. There's a lot.
It was still biased.
Yeah, it was still biased. You're like, I know the West Coast is kicking y'all ass right now, but damn, 4 mics, not fair. I mean, the same thing, like, you know,
Outkast.
It's like, we can't give it 5.
Yeah.
We can't give Playlistic 5. So I don't know. There's always that bias. Like I said, because sometimes you're talking from not only your perspective and your bias, but it gets to a point where, like, look, I don't like this person, so I'm not really going to review their album, and I don't like something that they did. Like I don't think if I was actually writing reviews and say Tekashi 6ix9ine put out something, am I going to really write a glowing review even if I think it's okay? I can't even wrap my mind around his music being good enough for me to give a good review to. And so, like, I think that happens not just with him, but with a lot of other people. There's a lot of people that just don't like Jay-Z, just don't like Nas, just don't like Eminem. And so I'm talking, so these are the big dogs.
Let me ask you this real quick, and we can. I don't know if there's much more to say, but
Keep going, brother. Keep going.
When was the last time that anybody here has read a review of music?
Oh man, like I said, last time I probably actually paid attention to reviews was during the Source times.
I think the last time I read a review,
Like, just
it probably was, and it was because of something that you alluded to earlier. There was an interview attached. So it was, what's the project that Black Thought dropped that had it was just what, 2 years, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
the one where you dropped like 2 out projects together?
Yeah, and
the same year.
dope artwork. There's one with Salam Remy, but there's another one. It's got the dope artwork. I cannot remember who produced that joint.
There's the Danger Mouse one he did.
But there was a review of that with an interview from him. So the part where I saw the part where he was actually getting asked questions and, you know, how this happened and how this happened, I actually read that. But had it been just a review for the project, I probably would have skipped over it.
The only reviews I read now are Amazon reviews. Products. Like, I want to know that I'm getting a good product because that's tangible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Are Amazon reviews cap?
No,
because I write Amazon reviews because I was trying.
You're a good person, buddy.
I was trying to
Stay on topic here.
I'm sorry, I just didn't know.
I was trying to.
I think they cap sometimes. Sorry,
I was trying to.
I ain't gonna veer off. You're right. I ain't gonna veer off.
And like, I bought like 2 tablets from the same company, and they both broke within 2 weeks. And I wrote about that.
That's cool.
I've never been misled by an Amazon review.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just have to gauge all of them.
Yeah.
Now some of them are just funny and mean, but like other than that, like you gotta, you could tell some people just like to get on there and hate.
For sure. But to answer your question, yeah, that was the last.
Yeah.
Probably last time I
was
actually.
just
Yeah, I locked in and read something.
Sometimes something in Rolling Stone, and like I said, I don't know when the last time I even picked up a Rolling Stone.
Like a Pitchfork.
Right.
Like I don't think I've ever read a Pitchfork review.
I've never.
I don't think I have either.
I for real can't remember reading music reviews unless it had something to do with the source.
Yeah, I don't.
Honestly.
I'd read them in Vibe, but sometimes like Vibe was very biased.
Yeah.
You know, there's just people they just didn't like.
I mean, I feel like if it's attached to something to where like you can, like it's discovery to some point, but you can just do a discovery piece.
More so my music reviews and suggestions come from my peers. So like if somebody has already listened to something, like, hey, you should probably check this out. Or even it might be the disclaimer, hey, I ain't really rock with it, but you can check it out, see what you think. That's more so where my music reviews come from nowadays.
And you know what's crazy? To Terry's point, that has more value to me than trying to go find a review. If Terry says, man, I think you should run that XYZ, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go take a look at it. And then what I always tell you, I get back with you. That right there is better than me having, you know, someone tell me that they've reviewed it and I should check it out. It's not going to hit the same.
I don't know
if y'all say it, I'm probably going to get to it faster. I'm just being honest.
Is there anything that you can think of that you would tune into or that you do tune into that you deem as that would be nice for music discovery in that aspect?
Oh, the needle drop.
The needle drop type stuff.
I do enjoy, and I don't find him like there's a little bias in what he does, but you know, hey,
I mean, he doesn't like Kanye.
Yeah, and I understand that
which is perfectly fine.
You know, but by and large, when like he says like, you know, when he does like best singles of the week or this, that, and the third, like some of that stuff I wind up checking out.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just not like, because he goes over all sorts of music.
Yeah, that piece. Yeah.
I think that's part of it, you know, and when he reviews hip as somebody, you know, I'm not going to say he's outside the culture, but, you know, he's someone who could say that. I think he's very fair.
Yeah, and he's, even though you could say he's outside, he's still very much tapped in.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't, because when he doesn't just make these wild comments about things, you know, he's, the things, his criticisms are things that are tangible and based in actual, you know, something, whether it be music theory or just like, oh, that lyric was terrible, and he's not being mean about it. Like he's criticizing people's lyrics who are actually terrible.
Yeah,
I can respect that.
Critic,
yeah, I can respect that. I can respect that.
Oh, okay.
Well, hey, I guess this guy was on to something, and Lone and Terry were already onto it.
There might even be more.
And at a certain point,
that was just a blip from the.
I'm sure he could. I'm sure he could have went. I'm sure there was some more after that. But
and at a certain point, them 5 mics didn't mean nothing anymore either. Anyway,
I was like,
Benzino got 5, didn't he?
By that
Benzino
time,
got 5, didn't he?
By the time
4.5.
Source had lost their credibility.
Yeah. Remember what was it?
I remember when Lil' Kim got 5.
I was like, nah,
I don't know about that. And she was like, "Who writing my?" Because that's when Biggie had passed. Who writing my lyrics now? I'm like, fam.
I mean,
they just gave you 5 mics, so you from New York. At the end of the day,
I mean, they gave one of Bun B's 5.
I know his little brother.
That was in the
4.5.
2000s, though.
True.
Yeah.
True.
They gave Bun B 5.
Shout out to LB, man. They got 4, and
Yeah, they gave him 4.5.
what should have been 5.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com. Just to the 27 new free members and the 5 new paid members again.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we appreciate y'all. People did show love.
And if you happen to catch this portion of the show, and I don't know if this is going to be in the Patreon only part anyways, but hey man, it's free. Just do it. Just go newoldheads.com, find it, or just go patreon.com/newoldheads. Click the join button, join on up. You can do free. You can be generous if you want as well. That's what we suggest you do.
Best response I heard, and then we can get into the next topic. It was my boy David. I believe he signed up for the $5 option. He said, Mike, I rock with y'all show. The shirts is dope, and I ain't going to miss that $5. Thank you, sir, for understanding.
Yeah.
It's literally that simple.
Hey, that festival pack was actually
You got over.
bargain.
It was.
And shout out to the people that walked up to the table trying to, 1, get on the podcast, and 2,
Yeah, everybody was asking.
Be like, hey man, I love your podcast. When can I get on? Oh, you love it, huh?
Yeah.
oh, you do. And then Terry,
for 400 episodes, we've never had a guest, so
they was like, yeah, so how do I get on? But if you sign up for the free
Your
option,
name has to be either Brother to the Night or
Jay Brookins,
Jay Brookins,
Mr. Kinetic,
or Mr. Kinetic,
Or
or
Slotty Divac.
occasionally skits.
Skits.
Yeah.
It's Slot A when he's in town.
Yeah.
A shout out to everybody else who's ever like Rusty, who's been
Rusty,
on.
yeah.
Rusty's been on.
We tried it for a minute,
Yeah.
but it was with like people that are significantly
Gray was
doing
on.
things. You know, shouts
That's
to
the
Gray.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gray was a great too. I'd like to have
Melissa
Gray back.
came and knitted in the background.
Shout out to Melissa. She did. She definitely did some knitting.
That's the
Said a couple words and was knitting. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's jump into this next topic. I think this got some. I know this one got high votes on here.
Okay.
Now this is crazy to me, but I don't know how I feel about it. T-Pain says he quit touring because he's earning $50,000 an hour on Twitch. So
Share the game.
Yeah, exactly.
that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, man, what are we missing in terms of that part? I've heard of other artists talking about how they get paid for, I think it's T Grizzly, playing video games and getting a bag. T-Pain saying this because T-Pain is an established artist that definitely could still be out there on the road getting to that money. But how does this make you feel as a creative / consumer when you hear someone say, I'm cool just sitting at the crib and being on Twitch, and opposed to actually getting out and touching and being a part of my fans and show
I
performances?
have no problem with this at all.
That's hey, listen, I'm just asking.
Who
I don't
wouldn't
know.
do that? If I'm literally sitting at home in the comfort of my own house and I'm getting $50,000 an hour, what do you mean?
Devil's Advocate says, and now hear me out. Devil's Advocate says the people that have helped you get to where you are usually like to enjoy seeing you here and there when you pop out for tours.
You don't know them nothing.
I don't.
And
That's
plus
why I'm
those
asking.
people-
I'm Devil's Advocate. I'm just throwing it out there.
People are happy to see me
But
any way they can.
but
And
you-
on Twitch is why
By
they want to
Twitch
see me.
stream.
So what you guys are saying is this is what I'm gathering.
He's
here.
actually saying you can see me anytime you want.
on Twitch.
Anytime.
Join the chat.
Okay. All right. I'm just
Become a
asking.
paid member.
You can see me in real time.
I'm just asking,
Yeah,
and
I might shout you out.
I might interact with you because I can see the comments.
Come on,
is that what
man.
that's what we doing?
Hey man.
Okay.
This is a new day and age, and things have shifted.
Yeah.
And in an artist of his stature, I don't blame him for doing that. I mean, of course, he's not just going to shun touring altogether.
Right.
He's not gonna do the tours where I got to make sure I make this amount of money because I don't have a new record that I'm a legacy tour right now. Essentially, I mean, he's not somebody that's just not doing music. Period. But most of his stuff hits came from the past.
But the brother said I quit touring.
I mean,
Oh, he actually said he quit.
T-Pain
touring.
says he quit touring because he's earning $50,000 an hour on
he
Twitch.
could be said he quit touring
I'm
for this
fine.
year.
Okay.
I'd quit touring for $50,000 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, but if somebody
I was
offers him,
T-Pain.
if somebody offers him $500,000 for an hour, he's going to get out there and get that $500,000
for
for an hour.
That's
Man,
real.
he was literally just here performing for All-Star Week.
Yeah.
You know?
And
So that bag must have been worth it.
I think there's
absolutely.
and there's a difference between doing like 5 shows a year as opposed to going on
Right.
tour for
Tour.
100
Right.
dates.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what
That's
I mean?
fair.
So
I mean, listen, far be it for me to count somebody's pockets. I'm just playing the other side because I know show experience, and there are some people that actually live for that, like to go on tour and go watch people live, and there are even people that go cop the merch and enjoy that whole process. But listen, don't let me get to telling somebody that they would get
I was
50.
in a position. Let's not even say 50,000. If I was just doing like 1,000 a day, even on Twitch, that would be worth it to me.
Would you
$2
DJ
grand.
outside again if you was getting 1,000?
Yeah, I would.
I'd be happy if we made 1,000 a week.
I heard that. I heard that, Long. Real talk.
You know, but like I've been sitting here trying to do the math in my head. Like, okay, how many Twitch subscribers is that? Because so right now it's $5 for a subscription. You get half of that. 50,000 subscribers.
250
plus ads. That's a lot. Man, that's crazy.
And there's probably paid sponsorships as well.
Yeah.
That as well.
Because he's an artist, so he might have a cup of something sitting on the table when he's promoting.
He might
that.
wear something.
Right. So
T-Pain definitely has 1 million followers on Twitch.
How many subscribers does he have, I wonder?
Wow. He has, let's see, Chairman CEO.
I'd be very curious of the
I
subscribers.
see 1 million followers, Lone. I do not see the number for subscription, but I'd love to see what that number is.
Let me go ahead and pull that
Do
up.
a little research there, brother. I see 1 million followers, though. So he definitely is, he definitely doing something.
go to his schedule.
The schedule? Okay, bet.
Pull this
Trying to
up.
knock out some features before Drunk T-Pain comes to the stream.
So I mean, he's still doing music.
And then he says, then maybe some trucking. That was a week ago, just chatting, trying to knock out more features. Okay, this one looks like he's playing a video game. This one he's putting
Man,
together.
$50,000 an hour.
Bro, that's a lot of bread for an hour, bro. Sitting at the house.
Man,
J Moore, that's a lot of money to sit at the house,
I'm just
bro.
playing, I'm not saying that any of this is cap. I don't want to do that.
No, I'm not going to say it either.
But
You'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised.
About the cap, Long? He capping?
No, you'd be really surprised how much money.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, yeah.
No,
I
I
said
mean-
Aiden Ross is an absolute idiot, but he is the amount of
Financially,
money.
he's wealthy
Jesus,
based
like-
off Twitch.
yeah. What's the video game dudes that get paid just to play video games online? Like a crew of them.
You talking like FaZe Clan or
Yeah,
something?
FaZe Clan.
Whoever they are, they getting bread.
This
They're
can't- this
millionaires
isn't
from
accurate.
playing games online.
yeah, that's not it.
Let's see.
I would love to figure out what this number is because something translating if he getting 50 G's an hour, Terry.
Followers, anytime average.
But again, sponsors.
Yeah, sponsors.
You right.
See the thing,
You
yeah,
right.
that's
You right.
where it is. That's where the money is. Even when people have, a large subscription or just follower base, it's like, okay, if we can see that you're doing that, we can
Ain't that?
no.
Okay, sorry.
we can go ahead and I don't know. I see this fan. You can get on with FanDuel, or like there's a skincare line called Tej Hanley that sponsors a lot of people, or like what's really. It's another. I'm not going to shout out any more gambling apps, especially not Breaking Bread with Us.
Yeah.
But I see that they're basically anything that's directed towards male viewers. Basically, this or listeners, they basically are breaking bread with them. And so
T-Pain is very smart, and
so if he
he's-
has 10 of those.
yeah,
Or just and it doesn't even have to be anything he does actively, like where he does a read for it, where it's just like I said, he puts said beverage on the desk,
Yeah.
and it's like he wears this particular hat,
Right.
and then he wears this particular shirt,
Or like a cologne or perfume.
I would take it
person
even
might
further.
send you something.
I'll take it even
ahead,
further.
Mo.
I bet this is more than just Twitch subscribers and ad money from Twitch, because I don't know how many he has. I doubt that he has a million followers and only 1,000 subs. I doubt that. But you also have to think he has a YouTube channel, which he can take all that content and he can repurpose that and get ad money on YouTube as well.
Smart.
And you can really make a lot of money on that as well. So I think combined, if you track it like, okay, I can get on Twitch and go live for 4 hours a day and make
And then breaks it down.
$200,000 all off of ads, off of everything.
Yep,
you know what I
yep.
mean? So I think it's reasonable. It's some of these streamers, these big streamers, they are really making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's crazy to think, because some of these people are literally idiots.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like Aiden Ross is an actual idiot. But he is like one of the biggest streamers ever, and it's amazing. Like just how dumb somebody can be, and how many people can just give him money. And now, granted, a lot of them are kids and stuff, but still, it's just it's a different world.
I mean, look, it is. This is when I realized, like, of all the people who saw us get that plaque, you know who was really, really impressed by it? My friend's kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like they weren't. It was like, oh, you know. My mom was like, "Oh, I'm happy for you," but like when my godson saw the plaque, oh my goodness, people had questions. That's like getting a platinum record to a 13 or 14-year-old. They don't care nothing about no platinum record. They see that YouTube plaque and they're like, "Wow!"
My boy, both of his daughters. He showed them I'd send him a picture of the plaque or whatever. I think it was one with Lone holding it or whatever. And I put it in a group chat, just some people from the crib. They know Lone. And he showed it to his daughters, and they were like, Uncle Mike is on something that has to your point, 100,000. What? On YouTube? That's crazy. So it's like, I'm a new person now just because Lone had the picture of the plaque and they know about the podcast.
Hey, Jake Cooper literally said that's part of the new EGOT now. So
wow.
Yeah, I was like, we don't have an
Emmy, Grammy, Tony, or
he was like, honestly, dude, he is like, I would prefer to have the YouTube plaque. He is like, that's like the new EGOT system now. Like, I would prefer to have that over one of these. So I was like, damn,
I want an Emmy. Hey Jake, if you're watching,
let's trade.
Bring us on Music in Transit.
So we can get an Emmy.
He did mention that was in the works.
Yeah. He's talked to me about it a couple times.
Hey man, like
Image Award.
Yeah, like I said, I'd have told everybody I got an Image Award.
On my mama, listen, I'd have been a conversation piece for my mother. Michael got an Image Award. Got an Image Award.
Listen,
they didn't send him one, but we know he got one.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
he was a contributor.
He was a contributor. So shout out to T-Pain, man. I ain't mad at you, man. Let me get to count your pockets. It was just, and I don't even think this is a situation where, if anything, it would be younger artists would be like, okay, I'm going to tap into this, but I'm still going to tour.
It's the new music. It's the new music economy.
Right.
All right. It's just we've talked about how there are new rules to everything that goes on now, because I don't know if you guys have seen, like, there's been almost just a bloodletting in the actual what's left of the music industry.
Yeah.
As far as like Rock Nation, now they have their own distribution, but a lot of people had to lose their jobs, because it's like, we don't need two vice presidents at this, that, and third.
True.
And so like there really is an issue right now with what are the rules of how we're going to even make the music industry work anymore. And if you don't and so like now going forward, if you're an artist, you might have more value in getting the YouTube plaque than you would getting a platinum record, because okay, if I'm a new artist out here, and like I said, we talked about how, like, for every piece of art that you put out, you need to put out 2 or 3 pieces of content so people can stay engaged. All that needs to be on your YouTube page.
You know what? That's an interesting. I like that comparison. What used to be a platinum plaque, flipping it to YouTube and a bigger social media presence in today's time, with the impact beings. That's a very good comparison, because based off how those kids responded.
Because you can have a platinum plaque and have no money.
You can have a YouTube plaque and have
no money. Yes. That too.
What are we playing?
You really can. Yeah. You really can.
That's real.
I mean,
that's real.
We all.
It applies to both now. Be clear.
But I'm just saying, like, say if you really can create certain moments and you can really get your live streams popping, and you're an artist. Because like a lot of times I see, like, some of these people, they don't control, like, especially some of these legacy artists. I see how poorly a lot of hip hop from the past 20 or 30 years is curated through the YouTube, or, because at one point it was Vivo. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what that system, because I'll go to an artist's Vivo or YouTube page. I'm like, what are all these other videos? You got other people's stuff on here.
Jump in there, Long.
I think an interesting piece with this as well that we're kind of talking about is the reason why I think I said that this is cool for T-Pain, me personally, is because this goes back to our conversations about artists completely having full control over their entire, brand and who they are, how they put stuff up there, in full control. Right. T-Pain doesn't have to deal with Live Nation and all this other stuff when he's going on tour. He can put, he is direct to consumer as much as you can be. And you know, as much as we've talked about direct to consumer being important, as much as I advocate for it being way more important than labels and, you know, likes, clicks, follows, you know, and stuff like that. But it's different when you have 1 million people that like legitimately tune in to watch you. Yeah. Even with you know, granted, he's got probably 1 million followers. I'm guessing when he goes live, he doesn't get 1 million. He probably gets around 10,000. Probably gets 5 to 10,000, maybe 15,000 on a crazy stream. But 5 to 10,000 people watching your stream. That's a lot. Is good ad revenue. And if those people are subscribing, that is really good money. So. But he has direct access to them. It's just like a mailing list. It's like everything that we're trying to build here. You know, like we're trying to build this. You know, very much grassroots. Our people, you know, do it this way. You know, through Patreon, all this stuff. We're not going through the complex network to put this out, or the Joe Budden network, or anything like that. We're trying to build it ourselves. And I think.
But you can come. And
you can talk to us, but at the same time, like it's the power of just owning everything that you are. And I think that's the coolest thing about seeing somebody like T-Pain be super successful in something like this, is that he doesn't need the machine at all.
He's literally built his own little bubble, little ecosystem where he can just thrive and not have to deal with anything else.
As should all artists out there should be taking note from what T-Pain is doing with his situation, or his privilege, so to speak, because he's put in the work, he's done what he needed to do. Yes. And now he doesn't need to go on the road to get his money like that. And to Lone's point, this is probably an accumulation of, okay, I sat down today, I made this video, I'm going to chop it up, people are going to pay me or whatever, and then at the end of the day, whatever time that I spent equaled $50,000 an hour once you do the breakdown. So,
and you got to think too, somebody with like T-Pain, his overhead is probably minimal. It's like
it's very minimal. He pays his internet bill.
Couple people gonna chop it up for him.
A couple editors.
There it is.
You know?
That's it.
And that's how these popular streamers do too. That they have a team of editors. They just pay them to clip stuff out and to do that stuff. And like some of these clippers make bank, by the way.
I bet they do, because they schedule when they're going to release and go through all that. And
but yeah, man, I think that's I love to see stuff like that. You know, I love to see it when people can do it themselves and be successful and off of their own talent. And you know, there's not a bunch of hands in their pockets.
Oh, and a person that makes $50,000 a person that makes $50,000 an hour can pay you very well to edit a couple clips, brother.
Man.
Yeah. Now, is $50,000 an hour high? Maybe. I don't know if it's that much, but
listen,
maybe it was for 1 month. But
hey, look, even if it's $25,000 an hour, like,
whatever system he got going on,
keep doing that.
He's not going on tour right now. So
no, good
kudos
for him.
to him.
Shout out to T-Pain.
And he's a great personality too. Like, he's really good for this. Like, I've caught a few of his streams. He's
it's dope to see people like what you're talking about that are actually, they have that part in them. Plus, he's a dope artist. So it's even better that he's super talented. So it's good to see those people win as well. So it's kind of, you know.
Well, look, I just realized when people are like, oh, can you really make that much money? During the pandemic, when Metronome and I were doing Take That Tuesday.
Virtual.
On Twitch, which was something we originally tried to do on Instagram, but certain copyrights would kick in and would kill your stream. At one point, we had 500 followers on Twitch. And this is a time where, like, because basically all of Metronome and I's money was based in, you know, being outside.
Yeah.
Those 500 people with, you know, maybe a $5 here, we put our PayPal and not PayPal, Cash App, and whatever the other one is, I can't remember. Venmo, yes. We put those up, and at one point, that's how I was able to eat.
No, that's real. That's real.
Because there was times when it was like I had no money coming in. 100% of all the money I made came from being around people. And when it was like, nope, can't be around people anymore, I was like, oh, what am I going to do?
No, for real. You definitely are outside.
And it was crazy because, like, we wound up doing that even longer than, like, okay, stuff is kind of opening up.
Yeah.
But we're like, we don't want to draw all these people outside because we, you know, like I said, the science wasn't there. We didn't know. I mean, maybe the science was there in retrospect. But I'm just saying, like, you know, if you have just a small group of dedicated followers, and that's what we're working on now, then you can make a good amount of money if you just have this amount of people who are willing to come in and drop $5 or $10 off every week. And like, that's the only reason I was able to keep my cell phone on during the pandemic.
Hey,
I ain't mad at you, my brother.
Well, there's nothing to be mad at about that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, I'm just
Whatever.
I would have been mad if they sent you a sandwich too. Some Mike.
You know what?
potato salad sandwich.
Yeah. Something with
See?
something mayonnaise
See?
based.
See?
Take it to a movie theater.
Throw the mayonnaise emojis up in
Too
the
much
Discord.
damn mayonnaise.
Not potato salad.
Chicken salad.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Like,
same thing.
oh, that's much better.
Yeah, you fancy an egg salad?
I saw an egg salad machine on.
I saw that too. And I was like,
I didn't see the egg salad machine.
I was like,
Is that a real
this
thing?
can't be real.
That's a real thing for
I
real?
seen it. I don't know if
It
it's
was
real.
like this is peak human evolution or something.
NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year.
I can feel it in my knee.
Shout out to everybody that stopped by our tent for CHREECE. We appreciate those that signed up for the free option, the $5 holla. You can do the same. We really appreciate that support. And again, if you see anything online that has a bell for notifications or ratings, give us 5 stars. We really appreciate that. If you're not giving us that at that point, you're pretty much hating. All right, man. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.